Welcome again, Marky Marks. I'm Blake Carter, joined, as always, by the one and only Will Rawson. How you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm doing good on a rainy, what is it, Tuesday? I almost said
Tuesday.
Monday.
It's Cinco de Mayo.
Dreary like a Monday. Yes, it's Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, exactly. And we're happy to have you along. We were going to try to broadcast yesterday, but due to storms and all kinds of other things, we weren't able to. And so now you get to see me in my natural habitat, which is the radio station, which gives me a really nice microphone, is what Will was talking about earlier.
Yes, the audio on your end is so much better.
And hopefully the connection's a little bit better too. But thank you for joining us. And we're going to start, as always, with the one and the only Will Rawson with the NXT Roundup. We'll get started with Will right now. Go ahead, good sir.
All right, NXT was really good this week, I guess in a sense. It started off with Zayn coming out with a promo, dropping a huge pipe bomb, basically calling Kevin Owens out, saying, everything that you've done has had my name attached to it. And he ended up basically saying later that you can basically say that you've been living in my shadow your whole career. It was a big burn. The audience went wild for that promo. After that, though, they set the match. That's going to be a pay-per-view match here in a couple weeks at NXT. What is it? Unlimited, I think is what they're calling it, or I can't remember what they're calling it.
And I don't know. It does start with a U. I know that much.
It does. I don't think it's the Unlimited, but anyways, it's another takeover coming up in a couple of weeks. May 19th, I believe. May 20th. Mm-hmm. After that, though, we had the number one contenders, Enzo and Big Cass, come out to a huge pop, maybe one of the biggest pops of the night. They are really over with the crowd, and they defeated the current NXT Tag Champions, Blake and Murphy. Clean, too. It was a really good match. I love these guys. I'm a really big fan of Enzo. I like the characters. I can't wait to see them on the main roster someday. After that, backstage, we had Alex Riley talking in, wants one more match with Kevin Owens. Regal says, hey, I've given you chance after chance. No more. Sami Zayn offers a match to Alex Riley, says, hey, I need a warm-up match. Riley kind of looks like he kind of takes it a little personal and says, okay, whatever. But if Sami doesn't make it to TakeOver, I get his spot. That comes into play later on. We'll talk about it later in the podcast. After that, though, we had a Baron Corbin vignette come up, and basically it's just him talking his usual talk about the lone wolf. He says that you can't fight fate at the very end of it. Pretty cool little promo, but nothing special that we haven't seen yet. After that, we had a match between Bayley and the new Dana Brooke. Emma came out and distracted her. Still, we don't know what's going on with the whole Emma situation. She came out with all her, I guess, Bayley gear, as you call it. Bayley got distracted, took the loss. Poor Bayley. But we move on after that to a great match of Hideo Itami defeating, once again, he's back on NXT. It's Adam Rose. And it was
Adam.
a squash match. Adam's back, and he got killed by Hideo pretty decisively. I don't know if he's going to stay there permanently or if it was just a one-time thing. We'll see. After that, though, we had Becky Lynch coming on and defeating a brand new debut of an NXT rookie. I can't remember her name, but it was pretty much one-sided. And I love the armbar by Becky. She won by submission, and she's going to be taking on the women's champion at NXT TakeOver, whatever it's called. Unlimited, I'm going to keep saying. I know I have it somewhere. After that, though,
you've changed from Unleashed to Unlimited. Maybe it's Unlimited. Oh, and we've lost Will somehow during this. He wanted to talk about Baron Corbin and Rhino going on and on about any kind of a.
He is not the past, but he is also the present and the future. So I guess we're going to have a Baron Corbin and Rhino feud coming up very shortly. I don't know. After that, though, Regal says that there will be a triple threat number one contender match at TakeOver. Hitami versus Breeze versus Baylor. It's going to be awesome. We all know these are probably the three most favorite guys other than Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. So it's going to be a great match. TakeOver is going to be a great pay-per-view once again by NXT. And then the night ended with Kevin Owens attacking Sami and Riley during their main event, and he basically destroyed both of them, and he stood tall as the show ended. Kevin Owens looking stronger and stronger every week. And that was NXT this week.
And thank you, sir. And we lost you for a little bit. And so I kept talking until you came back. So that was good.
Yeah, I didn't know what was going on because I heard you start to say a word and then it was silent on your end. So I didn't know if I was still connected or what.
No, we lost you for a little bit. Like as soon as you started talking about Barrett and Rhino, I was like, "Oh, we've lost Will," and so we want to talk to you about Barrett and Rhino. Rhino challenging him, and all of a sudden you just keep talking and continuing my thought. So it worked well. Thank you for viewing us. Sorry for the technical difficulties there. But from NXT, we can talk about an actual pretty awesome Raw that we had this week. And we can move it on and segue it in to we got to have Sami be a part of Raw in Montreal. What'd you think about that, man?
He made his Raw debut match. He had the great Bret Hart introduce him to his home crowd, which made it even more special, accepting John Cena's U.S. Open challenge. And it was a really good match. He had a huge pop. Of course, it helps when you have your hometown, but I don't think the hometown mattered all that much. He's still going to get a huge pop, and the fact that he was one of them to challenge Cena made it better, and I'm glad Cena helped, put him over because Cena was showing a lot of moments of surprise and distress, like, holy crap, this young guy has got some moves on me. It was a good match.
He did very good, kind of doing the Bret Hart, and it was very funny that Bret was there, but, a hero in one country, a villain in another, Cena really didn't have problems maybe kind of being a heel a little bit on Raw with that crowd. Maybe not universally, but with that crowd, he very much was, and they were laying like crazy, and I don't know, I mean, that could be crediting to Sami Zayn before he came out, but I think a lot of it just had to do with they didn't want to hear him talk. But the match was good. Now, do you think Sami was actually hurt or not?
Oh man, this was the topic of the day because he was showing a lot of shoulder pain throughout pretty much the entire match. Referees kind of were inspecting him. Doctors were looking at him. He finished the match. WWE later released a text saying he was going to undergo an MRI sometime today. We haven't heard the results yet. As far as it being either part of the script for storyline purposes or if he's really hurt, I really don't know because supposedly it happened when he was coming out during his entrance, pumping up the crowd. Something happened to his shoulder. I almost thought it was a storyline just because of what happened on NXT. Basically, Alex Riley saying, hey, if he can't make it the takeover, I'm taking his spot. And he just came back to NXT from a previous shoulder injury. So maybe it wasn't quite healed up, and maybe they know that he needs a little bit more time off, and Alex Riley's going to take his place. I don't know where they're really going. I think it is a storyline for Riley to take over, though, while Sami continues to heal up.
And I think that's a really good possibility. The only thing that made me lead the other way was how Michael and JBL kind of stumbled over their own words to try to figure out how to talk while he was getting checked on. And JBL can stumble, but Michael doesn't stumble over his words very often unless he's thrown something he's not ready for. That was the only reason I went, I don't know where we're going with this. But it was a really, really good match, a solid match. And that was kind of the theme of Raw for the most part last night. We had a good a tag team champs versus Roman and Randy, which set up for them to fight at the end of the night. And I thought that was neat, even if Xavier did have to shave his facial hair. But that's okay.
It was entertaining. I love the fact that they put those lower mid-card belt guys up there with the main roster guys, and they gave them a challenge, and they walked out with the win. So I like that they did that. New Day's looking really good, kind of that tweener heel roll they're doing. Randy Orton was playing up with the crowd, kind of like, yeah, clap on, these guys do suck. Yeah, it was really entertaining.
It was, and they're kind of in that place where Bo Dallas was a year ago, where he thinks he's getting adoration. They were thinking they were hearing New Day rocks instead of New Day sucks, which I thought was a nice little way to play on that they're too stupid to know that people are saying they suck. And then we also had a really good match versus Dean and Seth as well. That put Dean in the 4-way. It was only going to be a triple threat at this next pay-per-view. But this is actually really, I guess, Payback. I always forget Payback. It throws me off. But I thought that was really a really exciting thing. Now, I don't see Dean winning the belt at all.
No. Me neither.
I know there's people in our wrestling circle that will, not be happy with the fact that, he's probably just going to get knocked over, but still, he'll make it more interesting, I think, to have Dean.
Yeah, he's adding a lot of excitement to that match, because the Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose match of the night on Raw last night, probably one of their best matches ever, and even going back to their pay-per-view matches. That was a terrific match last night.
That was basically the theme all night tonight, last night. And then where we knew we weren't going to have strong matches, they didn't end up giving us a match. Like the Divas match, they had Naomi and, what's Snuka's daughter's name? Tamina. I always want to call her Tamina.
I think you lost me again.
Sorry, I kind of just went away there.
There you are.
I don't know what happened there. We are having storms currently, and for those of you that don't live in Western Kansas, or maybe don't remember it, we have terrible internet out here. And if you have a storm, you're probably gonna lose internet.
Yep.
It's almost the same with DirecTV. It'll do the same thing. So sorry about that. Boy, we're just having technical hiccups, but at least I sound good.
Yeah.
But I did think that was a great thing that we didn't have to see a Divas match last night. Not that the Divas aren't talented, because we're seeing it on NXT, but with the Bellas, there's only so much you can get. And with Naomi, she's talented, but there's only so much you can get. So they can further that storyline and do very, very well. You wanted to mention Fandango and his match.
I am a huge fan of Fandango, by the way. I love him. I've always liked him since he was coming to the main roster, and I'm glad they're kind of giving him that spotlight again, turning him back to that face. He had a match against Rusev, though. Pretty surprising. There was Lana talking in the back, and Fandango kind of came up, and he was kind of flirting with her a little bit. Then the match pursued after that, and basically it was a squash match for the most part. But Fandango got to the outside and kind of approached Lana and did his fandangoing, rubbing his ribs a little bit. Then he was kind of getting her to do the fandango. And she playfully came over and just kind of playfully did it back and had the cute. I mean, she smiles with Rusev, but the smile that she was doing when she was fandangoing, it was like just pure joy and happiness, like she was having fun for the first time.
It was kind of like a little innocent smile.
Yes, exactly. And Rusev, that sent him off the walls. Of course, he made Lana go back again, and Rusev pretty much dominated Fandango from there on out. But it was awesome seeing Fandango get a little spotlight. Maybe Lana's going to be one of Fandango's new dancing girls in the near future. We'll see. But Fandango, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That was really good. We also need to talk about King Barrett a little bit too. Even though we've been calling him King Bad News, apparently they're going to just call him King Barrett, which works unless they get rid of the bad news gimmick, that's what I'm afraid of. And they had him team with Sheamus last night to fight Dolph and oh gosh, I forgot. Neville. I always forget Purple Cape, but I thought that was a decent match, and it worked out what I've been talking about the last few weeks on the RAWCAST. Neville's getting better with his speed.
Yeah, he's slowing it down now.
Yeah, and I mean that's okay. I mean you can still have those lightning fast moves without being fast the entire match. Or at least from a viewer's perspective. Not that I'm a wrestler in any way, shape, or form, but that's kind of what I got from it. That being said, we had some weird matches too, even though we've been talking about some great matches. Even though it was a weird match, it made me laugh with Stardust producing a plastic bag of fake spiders.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that gave me the best quote of the night. Did you hear that from JBL?
No, what was it?
Okay, so Booker T goes, "Oh, why would you use plastic spiders?" And JBL goes, "You don't know they're plastic. They could be rubber." Oh my gosh, this is fantastic. So we've gone into the world of PETA, where we can't have real live animals anymore, and we've went to plastic or rubber animals or insects. This was definitely different, but it did make me laugh. I just hope they don't make R-Truth just scared of everything that's a spider now.
Yeah.
There's so many ways they can go with that. I'm not sure. That was a decent match too.
Yeah. Another big point on Raw that I thought was pretty cool, that Ryback was really over with the crowd last night. They were chanting the whole time. He did a promo in the ring basically telling Bray Wyatt, "You may call yourself, the new face of fear, but I'm not afraid of you. I'm going to eat you. I'm feed me more," kind of, typical Ryback promo. It was actually pretty good, though. I'll give Ryback some credit. It was a really good promo. Crowd got into it. He acknowledged it. He even said, "Yeah, I love you guys too. And I can't ignore you, because the more we ignore you guys, the louder and more you keep doing it." And sure enough, they did it throughout his entire promo, and he was eating it up. And good job to Ryback. He's getting better on the mic. I thought that was a good highlight.
I think he's getting better throughout. I know a lot of people have still been giving him crap since Punk's podcast with Colt Cabana. That was a younger Ryback, not as experienced. He's gotten better on promos. He's gotten better in the ring. And if anything, he has shown the WWE office he's much more valuable as a face.
Definitely.
Than a stupid bully that attacked crew members by the catering. I thought that was the dumbest thing they've ever done with Ryback. Oh my goodness. Terrible.
Yeah.
Now beyond that, I mean, Raw, I'd probably give it at least a B+. How about you, man?
Oh yeah, B+. Probably, good solid 7.5, 8 out of 10. It was a good Raw.
I was very pleased, but we have to talk about some other things that are happening in the world of wrestling, and it has to do with the stupid boxing match that should have been a wrestling match, as bad as it was.
Exactly.
I don't know how many people actually got to see the Floyd versus Pac-Man fight. It was bad. And, WWE the entire week was trying to promote it, talking about when Floyd went to WrestleMania with Big Show. And they tried to kind of promote it like it was happening that week, where my girlfriend was confused. And she's like, "Is he fighting Big Show this week?"
Yeah.
I was like, no. That happened several years ago. But because of that, we in the WWE lost probably our biggest supporter. Well, if you'd like to read that tweet and kind of explain that a little bit.
Yeah, this is Michelle Beadle. She tweeted shortly, I I don't know if it was before or after the fight, but it was the same night. She says, quote, "I've loved WWE for a long time, but Triple H and his love for a serial abuser is too much. I am turning in my fan card. Hashtag was fun while it lasted." Pretty huge blow. It's Michelle Beadle. She's probably one of the biggest recognizable reporters, sports reporters, to be more specific. She's really into the pop culture. She's a pop culture icon in the sports world. Been a huge supporter and advocate of WWE. She regularly talks about it during her programs on ESPN, along with one or two other ESPN people. But we've seen this ESPN WWE relationship getting stronger here lately. Of course, she was most recently involved with. She did a lot of WrestleMania reporting. She had interviewed Paul Heyman, Roman Reigns. She broke the story of Brock Lesnar re-signing a new WWE contract. So she's a big deal as far as WWE and ESPN's relationship goes. Anyway, she did a story about Floyd Mayweather having past abuse problems with former girlfriends and wife multiple times, and he didn't take it too well. And he ended up banning her credentials and not letting her into the fight that night. Of course, WWE, like you said, they hyped it up all week. They're huge Floyd supporters, have been for years. He's probably going to be in the WWE Hall of Fame, the celebrity wing someday. So she just kind of took it a little personally that she didn't get into this fight and says, you know what? I'm done with you. I'm done with the people that support you, the people that I've kind of been calling friends the last few years. My fan card's in. And supposedly she wrote a long article going into more detail about it today. I have not had a chance to read it yet, but it's a big loss.
It's a huge loss because tonight at 7 o'clock is the ESPN's on 60 about NXT. And a lot of that came about from Beadle saying, hey, you guys should check this out. Now, there's a few ESPN guys that like WWE as well, but there is no one more knowledgeable than Michelle.
Yeah, she is a diehard wrestling fan, has been for most of her life. I mean, you'll see her at the donut shop just getting donuts, and she'll regularly have on like a Rick Rude t-shirt. She knows who Rick Rude is, and it's a big deal because she kind of intertwines the sports entertainment, the real sports world, pop culture all together. She is a big icon, and if she really is turning into this fan card, it's going to be a major PR issue between ESPN and WWE. I'm sure they're going to try to get her back on board somehow. You know, I don't know what they're going to do, but I'm sure Triple H is going to have a call with her personally sometime soon, if not Stephanie.
It needs to be done, not just for business perspective, but just on a personal level, because, you know, even without the relationship that they've just kind of in a infancy setting with ESPN, even if she was talking about MMA, if it reminded her of something that happened in wrestling past, she'd bring it up. And she never had to, but she would. This is, oh boy. And at the same time, I think maybe she went a little overboard. Not to say she isn't justified, but I don't feel like they're just saying we condone everything Floyd does, but Floyd's a boxer that worked with them. They're trying to push the network. They're trying to do things. That doesn't necessarily mean they're okay with what Floyd did in his past.
Exactly.
So I think this was a little, I don't know, maybe a little immature. I don't know. Maybe I'm overstepping by saying that. But they do need to talk to her. And we will encourage you all to watch the ESPN at 7 o'clock tonight, if you can. And most ESPN services are now available online. If you don't have cable, this may be a way for you to watch it too. But this was a really surprising drama that's going to take place on WWE. And it's really going to have to – it's up to WWE to make the move. Do they do it silently, or do they do what they usually did back in the day, and they make fun of her on their next TV slot?
Yeah, and I hope they don't. I don't think they'll go down that road. Personally, I think it'll just be something behind the scenes, probably with Triple H himself dealing with it. So I think he has the closest relationship with her. Maybe, I mean, They even have John Cena go down there because she has built up a little bit of a buddy relationship with John Cena. Of course, another thing I forgot to mention, like I said, that she's really closely related to him. The last couple of years, she's been the one that usually hosts the tribute to the troops special they've been doing. She goes down there with them regularly. So, like I said, she really is an important figure in both ESPN and WWE and how they're connected. So hopefully that issue gets resolved pretty soon.
I agree. But speaking of programming, and we were talking about how they were promoting it on the network this week, or last week and this week, has been giving us loads and loads of new shows, some of them very small in minutes, but they're there. So we have like Culture Shock with Corey Graves. We had a comedy-ish special with Mick Foley. We got to see King of the Ring last week. We got to see Jerry Springer's show, Too Hot for TV, and I'll tell you about what I think about that here in a bit. Swerve, and then also we had Renee Young's show Unfiltered,
where she tickles the filter.
Yeah, and I thought Unfiltered was really good, though. This week they're having her like interview a movie with Legally Blonde and the hot wife from Modern Family. And that feels more like that should have been a Corey Graves Culture Shock, since they're sending him out to different places instead of Renee Young, which hers was kind of like seeing a WWE superstar in their natural habitat. Which I really enjoyed this first episode. This next one I'm not so sure about. Both Corey and Renee's are very short. The ones that are long, okay. I don't know what you thought about the Jerry Springer show, Will, but
oh man,
it's a like clip show, is it not?
Yeah, it's just like about 3 or 4 of the other shows that they have on there. They have a theme. Of course, this first episode was about love and love stories in WWE throughout the years, and it was typical Jerry Springer, just giving his usual kind of psychology spiel on things, and there was just a bunch of clips throughout WWE programming history, all the way back from like the 80s to today, and it didn't seem any different other than it was narrated by Jerry Springer.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of these clips already with the Attitude Era clips, the hot countdown or whatever it is, whatever. I don't know.
They have too many countdown like clip shows.
Is way too many clip shows. Not to say that WWE doesn't have the library for this, but good grief, how many clip shows do we need to have?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was bad, but the fact is that about 85-90% of the clips they showed on that Jerry Springer Too Hot for TV show, I've already seen on about 2 or 3 of their other shows, the past couple months. And then like I said, it's just narrated by Jerry Springer. He gives Jerry's final thought at the end of it, and nothing special to me.
No. Though that being said, I was afraid it was just going to be a Jerry Springer show without the beeps. So at least it's WWE related, I suppose. But I don't think we need another clip show. We do get another WWE version of ESPN 60 with Roman Reigns.
Yeah, that aired last night. I didn't get to catch it yet. I'm probably going to try to watch it tonight.
I got to see a clip from it that they put on Facebook. This little girl came up to him during WrestleMania autographs, and she said, "I think you're going to win the Royal Rumble." He goes, "Well, want to know a secret? I already did. That was 2 months ago." So, but he goes, "Do you mean the WrestleMania match?" She's like, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, now I think I will." So that was kind of cute. And I think Roman's a good guy, and I really have nothing against him. It's just for a while there, it felt like we were getting pushed Roman too much too fast. And now they're kind of weighing him back. He's still kind of a top-tier guy, but he's not the main one we have to be worrying about. So,
my dog's having asthma beside me, so I'm trying to cover up my mic.
Oh, you're fine, man. You're okay. You're okay. Usually my dog's barking during these. It's just this time I'm just in a room full of CDs, so I don't have that. But
I want to talk. I mean, I watched the first one I watched, which I don't know if they're full episodes or not, because they said the first ones were previews and they didn't really debut, so I don't know if they're going to be extended anymore. But I did watch the Culture Shock. It was only about 10 minutes, really, 10, 15 minutes. Of course, he went to the Marvel Studios, or not the studios, but the headquarters for Marvel. Basically, just kind of did a behind the scenes of what it takes to write a comic book. And it was really quick, short, but it was entertaining, I guess. He said, basically, he previewed the show saying he's going to go out there on the streets where, they normally don't get a chance to ever go to because they're always on the road, and come along with me. Pretty good show. Hopefully the actual premiere, which is supposed to happen, I think, actually in June. I think they're doing another short one. They said, I don't know. I'm kind of confused with the programming. So I keep saying a preview. And then when you look on their network, you see the premieres, and the premiere for that is actually in June. May just has another preview. So I don't know if they're going to get any longer or not in the future.
The Culture Shock one was pretty good, preview or not, because I didn't realize how many of them just work from their home offices and just send it to the comic headquarters. Though I did find it funny that they were mostly in the Thor, and one of the Thor covers they showed was the annual that CM Punk wrote.
Hey, and CM Punk is going to be doing Drax the Destroyer. I don't know if you saw that news this week.
Yeah, I saw that too, which is good. I'm glad for Punk. I really am. He's really getting himself out there because, if MMA doesn't work out for him, which I'm really only thinking he's probably going to want to do 1 or 2 matches anyway, at least he's doing what he really loves, which is comic book writing, and I enjoyed that. But the Culture Shock was good. Though what I do have to talk about with the programming and what's going on, I am getting sick and tired of these free months.
Yeah.
For new subscribers, because we don't get anything.
I want a free month.
And I'd understand if that was what they were gonna do for, like, if it was like a Hulu thing. If you're a new subscriber, then you get this. But just saying May's the free month and April's the free month is terrible during pay-per-views, especially when you live out here where internet, as we've already witnessed, can be shoddy. When a main event happens on pay-per-views, what happens, Will?
Oh, man. Let's see. The internet gets really overloaded and ends up lagging lags a while. Then you're about 10 seconds behind. Then eventually the network shuts down and you have to restart it.
Every time. It is awful. We didn't have that problem during WrestleMania because it wasn't free during WrestleMania month. But during Extreme Rules, I was about 2 matches behind because I had to keep restarting. And how WWE Network tries to help is they don't take you to where it's at live, but they back you up where it's already done, so it's already buffered.
And it's always like that during the big matches, the Dean Ambrose matches, the Ziggler matches. That's where everybody just jumps on. Oh, Twitter saying Ziggler's starting. Get on the network real quick. Then, 2 or 3 million people are logging on real quick, and then I guess their, servers are getting loaded and everybody starts freaking out.
Oh my gosh. It is.
This makes May is another free month, like you said. That's 3 out of the last 4 months have been free.
It's getting ridiculous. It really is. And I don't know if they lost a lot of their million subscribers or whatnot, because they're not giving us that fact anymore. They're telling us they're an award-winning service. And I can guarantee we're going to hear that for the next 5 years. So, oh, gosh. As much as we tell you, Will and I tell you to try out the network, and this would be great, it's free, I will say that there is some downfalls during the free months for subscribers already, because for us that have already paid, we don't get anything free. They still bill us, and we
give
also
us like half off
the streaming. Yeah, give us something, even
give us $5 of WWE shop credit or something.
Amen. Because then we'd still be encouraged to use that to buy more stuff. But that's just where I am. The rest of the shows were pretty good. I liked Mick Foley's, even though it wasn't so much a stand-up. And he even said it wasn't, but that's what people have been calling it for over a year now because he's been doing this. But I really thought it was funny. I thought it was good.
I thought it was entertaining. There were some stories on there that, you kind of heard of, but he went into more details and made it even more personal and awesome storytelling. That's basically what it is. He's a storytelling. That's not really stand-up. He's just telling stories, and some of them are pretty funny. Some are, like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. That's a good fact.
Yeah, he did a really good job, and apparently that was the first time his family's ever seen him, and so they would go to his wife and pan on her. And you know what? I haven't seen her since Beyond the Mat. She was in 2 seconds of the Santa Claus movie. So it was nice to kind of see her. And you know what? I had no idea. In all of his books I've read, I don't think he's ever brought up that his youngest son is autistic.
Mm-hmm.
And that was neat to see that and have him show the band he's wearing and then have his son play the drums, self-taught. I thought he did a good job. I really thought, all in all, that was a nice deal. And if anything, it wanted me wanting more. And if not from Mick Foley, JR does storytelling. Mm-hmm. And I would love to see JR have a special. I don't know where his relationship is with the WWE at this moment, but I would love to see that. Another special, and we've kind of talked about it, but the Jericho podcast part 2 with Stephanie. Will, what'd you think of that?
That was a snoozer. My goodness, dude. A lot of people said it was the worst one of all the little podcasts they've been doing on the network. I agree. It was just Stephanie doing a big PR statement for the most part. There was nothing really good that came out of that whole thing. I actually fell asleep partway through it, and I had to wake up and rewound it, but I did not enjoy that podcast at all.
Oh, they need Austin back, and they need Austin back now. And I love Jericho. Jericho has a great podcast, but they're not going to give him the questions, and he's not going to push his limits because he still kind of works for them.
Yeah, and they kind of pointed that out a little bit because Vince was in the back. You never saw him, but they were clearly stating, they asked a question. I don't know. He's looking at me right now. I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's move on. Kind of thing like that. Like Vince was giving him the okays, sure, keep going, talk about that. So and maybe he was basically just directing the podcast.
And even though Steve has told us on his podcast there was nothing against it, I gotta think Steve was like, "You can't direct me, Vince. This is my show." Because oh boy, and if anybody needs to be on there, then there's another good spot for JR because JR could have a ball,
right?
With that too. But I think they're worried they can't control JR either. In the end, what's probably going to end up happening is Renee's going to get her own podcast.
I don't know. I think so. Renee, her Unfiltered show is pretty good, but yeah, maybe a Renee podcast coming up. Well, I don't know.
I don't know. But as we move forward into the week, there are a few things we're excited for. We are excited for the upcoming pay-per-view. We'll just have to see how well it streams with the free month. But we'll keep you up to date, and we will be breaking down. I know we've had some questions. When we get to the next NXT TakeOver, you better believe we're going to break it down like a regular pay-per-view. We've done it before, but if you're a new listener or viewer or whatever you want to call yourself, Marky Marks, we will be breaking that down because for Will and I, this is the closest thing we get to pure wrestling anymore.
Mm-hmm. And
at least what the WWE's given us.
Yeah. So NXT, they have their new one tomorrow. We know a couple of matches on the card, so I think they'll probably get the official card set up tomorrow. But it's already looking like a strong card. We got 2 great matches announced so far. Probably we already know tag team match is going to happen. We already know the women's match is going to happen. So I'm sure they're going to add one or two more. Maybe that's where we see the Rhino and Baron Corbin take place. I don't know, but it's going to be a good pay-per-view.
It will, and it possibly could be Sammy's last pay-per-view there.
Correct, since he's appearing on the roster now, the main roster.
At least he was for that. Unless this hurt, quote unquote, hurt shoulder keeps him from being on Raw. I don't know. It could be that, or perhaps they were just using him to promote NXT and have him in his hometown. And if so, at least he got to do Raw in front of his hometown.
Right.
Like if he doesn't make it up to the roster anytime soon, that's fine. We have been looking at a few NXT of the new class, the new mission class that came in. Axel from Germany looks freaking awesome.
He is a tank.
I don't know if they're going to keep that name with him. Probably not. But that being said, he looks fantastic. And to have an actual German, not someone pretending to be a German, is going to be great. So that's what we have to look forward to. Remember, tonight at 7 o'clock is ESPN, 7 o'clock Central Time, that is the ESPN 60.
E60. Yeah.
Yeah, I always forget that. But it should be good. It's giving us an NXT look when Xavier was still there, and I think before Adam Rose was Adam Rose. And
I think so too.
I can't remember what his gimmick was at that point. I know he had a huge beard and stuff, but I don't remember what his gimmick was. I know there's people in our circle that will kill me for that, but I can't remember what his name was. I really can't. I always thought he reminded me of Craven from Spider-Man, but beyond that, that's all I can think of. So, I'll let you say your goodbyes real quick.
All right. Well, you kind of summed it up. I'm looking forward to E60 tonight. It's definitely going to be awesome. The previews they've been showing, very good documentary series. I mean, this is an award-winning documentary series they do, and it's high. It's putting up front WWE and their NXT Florida facilities. It's going to be good. NXT tomorrow, and I guess we'll be back hopefully next week as long as we don't have some storms. Enjoy your WWE programming.
WWE, you could pay us at any time you want. Yeah, but
it's free. It's free this month.
It's free. Not for us, but free. Have a good week, Marky Marks. We will probably see you next week. Maybe I'll be back here again. I like the sound of my voice in here. All right. Have a good weekend. Well, see you later.